I don't know. I'd say I'm reasonable.
Okay, that's completely unreasonable.
I'm reasonable.
I'm unreasonable.
You have no idea just how reasonable I have been.
Reasonable synonyms are sensible, rational, practical, fair, appropriate.
Fitting, suitable, logical.
All things I would definitely say describe me.
Do they describe you?
Welcome to I'm Reasonable with Zainab Johnson.
I'm reasonable. Hello. Hey. Welcome to another episode of I'm Reasonable with Zainab Johnson. I am Zainab Johnson on a scale from me to me. How reasonable have you guys been this week? The reason why I say me to me is because I can be so unreasonable and so reasonable. And so I imagine we all can, right? And the hope is that we are always making choices that lean towards more reasonable than unreasonable, unless the situation just called for you to show up as your most unreasonable self. But then after that situation is over, then you got to let it go. Speaking of which, don't be looking at my background. Do not be looking at my background, okay? Don't be looking at my background. Yes. Okay, you see laundry. You see popcorn. You see grapes. Because I be eating. That's my version of drunken love. Hungry in love. We eat all night. Let me be careful because I don't think Beyonce messed with renditions either. Scripts, sides, listen. I know some of y'all are like, oh, wait. We get an episode on time? Yes. This week, you get an episode on time because we filmed on Sunday instead of Monday. And I have a little bit of time, and I've used my time wisely this week. I have prioritized. I am getting through the to-do list. And so, yeah, but I am still filming. So don't get your hopes up. Don't get your hopes up. Next week, it might be a Thursday again. It might be a late night Wednesday. It might be an early, I don't know. But we ain't even worried about that, right? Because we're here. We're here now. Okay, so what are we talking about today? All right, so today what we not talking about? We not talking about Diddy. We not talking about Diddy this week. I need a break. It's too much. It's too much. Every hour on the hour, some new information is breaking. Today, they was talking about, wait, what about the adopted kid? I didn't even know about an adopted kid. What about the adopted kid? And then they said, oh, well, she wasn't even adopted. What? It's too much. And so I'm very, very happy to I got grape in my lodged up back there with the wisdoms. I am very happy to take a break from this Diddy freak off criminal situation. I will say this, and it's ongoing, right? It's ongoing. This isn't like the Diddy case, the Diddy podcast, and so we don't have to talk about it every week. It's ongoing. But here's what I would like to say. I know I was like, we ain't talking about it, and now I'm talking about it. I have had more conversations than I've wanted to with people who I love and admire and respect. And I have to say, I'm quite shocked and really surprised and would love to move past the rebuttals of, well, I mean, if they taking Diddy down, then Hugh Hefner was doing the same thing. There's murderers murdering every day. Every day. Unfortunately, there are murderers murdering every day all over the world. Just because there are murderers murdering all over the world doesn't mean that when a murderer is caught, even if you loved that murderer, even if that murderer created something so nostalgic in your life, even if that murderer's contribution to this world plays a huge part in your coming of age story, that murderer still has to face the judge in the courthouse for all the criminal charges of murder that they're being brought up on. Don't get caught in semantics. Of course, I'm not saying that Diddy is a murderer. I'm using murder. Fill in the blanks. There are thieves stealing every day. Just because that thief didn't get caught doesn't mean this thief should not be prosecuted. We have to stop. And I get it. I get how easy it is to conflate criminality with the lack of equality. I get it. However, some stuff is just so bad. Some things are just so bad, you just got to be like, nah. I'm not going to get bogged down in semantics. I'm not going to get bogged down in what they doing or not doing over there. I'm not going to get bogged down in like, well, it's kind of like the tattletale. It's kind of like, well, because here's the thing. Things aren't wrong if everybody is held accountable. Things can be wrong even if only a few people are held accountable. We know that things are unfair. We know things are unfair. But some stuff is just so bad, you just got to be like, all right, I'm gonna sit this one out. All right. We're going to talk about two things today. We're going to get into the Janet Jackson of it all. Janet Jackson sat down with The Guardian and had a response about Kamala Harris. We're going to talk about that. And we are going to talk about sitcoms versus single camera comedies, because I said in the episode last week, if you guys want to know, and I got so many messages saying, please, we would love to know. Please let us know. And so that's what we are going to talk about this week on I'm Reasonable. But before we do that, of course, let's talk about where you guys can see me next. You guys can watch my crowd work special. I titled it The Notebook. It is on YouTube now. If you haven't seen it, go ahead. It's right on my page. Go ahead and watch it. I believe it's like an hour and 6 minutes long. Keep in mind, it is crowd work. None of that material is written at all. Obviously, if I'm telling a story, the story is real. Like, it's a real part of my life. That I'm making funny, but everything was inspired by the audience in the room that night, okay? That's available on my page. If you've watched it and you commented and you shared it, thank you so much. If you do watch it and you do enjoy it, go ahead and share it, okay? That helps. As I said, that I'm here filming Upload, which is available on Prime Video. Go ahead and watch that. The first 3 seasons are available. And when I'm like, y'all, season 4 is dropping, the very thing that y'all, the very reason why the podcast be late while I'm in Vancouver, when I'm like, season 4 is dropping, I don't want y'all to be like, what? I got to catch up. You'll already be caught up. Lastly, you can watch my 1-hour special, also available on Prime Video, called Hijabs Off. And all of those links are in the details of this podcast. Now, if you want to see me live, if you want to come outside and see me at a live show, I will be in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, October 7th. That's wrong. I will be in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, October 18th and 19th at the Philly Punchline. October 25th and 26th, I will be in Detroit, Michigan at the House of Comedy. November 1st and 2nd, this is actually a new date. November 1st and 2nd, I will be at Comedy Works in Denver, Colorado. If you go to their website and you're looking for those tickets, you may not see my name because it's an ensemble. It's not an ensemble show, but there's multiple comedians on the show. And so you have to look at Rocket Comedy. Those are the producers of the comedy show. Rocket Comedy. Anyway, that's November 1st and 2nd in Denver, Colorado. November 8th and 9th, I will be in St. Paul, Minnesota. St. Paul, Minnesota. I will be there November 8th and 9th. November 11th, Amsterdam, the Netherlands. November 14th, Geneva, Switzerland. November 15th and 16th, Paris, France. November 18th through the 23rd, London, England. November 29th through December 1st, Ontario, California. December 4th, Austin, Texas. December 6th through the 8th, Houston, Texas. December 31st, San Jose, California. January 3rd through the 4th. This is also a new date, Seattle, Washington. January 3rd and 4th, Seattle, Washington. I believe it's only one show each night. January 9th, Raleigh, North Carolina. January 16th through the 18th. So 16th, 17th, and 18th of January, I will be in Washington, D.C. February 21st through the 23rd, I will be in Chicago, Illinois. April 11th and 12th, I will be in Toronto, Canada. The link to the tickets are in the details of this podcast. So if I am coming to a city near you or somebody that you know that you think will enjoy me, go ahead and get those tickets. While I have you, hit that subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up. And yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so what is up with Z? What's up with me? Really quick update. I got my item from Hertz. So at first, and I have just a very low level of trust with Hertz Rental Company in particular. I always rent with them, but at the beginning of this year, I believe it was at the beginning of this year, I left my Louis Vuitton scarf. It's a big, huge, black silk, 100% silk, Louis Vuitton scarf, like a shawl, right? Huge. I left that in one of the rental cars. I realized I left it right as I'm on, if I dropped the car off at the airport, I realized I left it right when I got on the plane. You want to know why I realized I left it when I got on the plane? Because that AC started blasting down on my neck and my head. And I was like, oh my God, where's my scarf? Oh no, I don't have my scarf. Where could my scarf be? Oh no, I left it in the passenger seat of the rental car. Call Hertz immediately. Call Hertz. We still taking off. I call Hertz. Let them know. Oh, we do have the scarf. You think they returned that scarf to me? They called me, told me they had the scarf. I described the scarf. Yup, I got it in my hand right now. But you got to pay $50 for us to send it to you. I'm like, okay, bet. What, y'all sending overnight mail? Because why cost $50 to get a scarf from Dallas to, but whatever, I want my scarf. Either that or I got to go back to Louis Vuitton and pay another $700-800 for the scarf, right? So I'm like, here go the $50 for y'all to ship me my scarf. Y'all think they ship me my scarf? Hertz, I said it, Hertz rental car in Dallas. You think they shipped me my scarf? No, they did not. But I've gotten wiser since then. I called again. I video. Every time I have a rental car, I video when I pick up the car, like before I take off, and I video when I return the car. I video everything. I don't care if they give me my receipt right there. And they say it's no charges. I don't care if I have full coverage on. I don't care. I video everything. Because I've done this too many times and have had people try to pull the okey doke on me. It's like, nah, here we go. Here's the proof right here. Now what you talking about, right? So I left something in the car. They had a tracking device, right? I don't tell them. I hit them up and say, hey, I left this thing in the car. I have the video. I know I left it in the car because I'm looking at it on the video, right? I don't ever say that I have a tracking device on it. I don't ever say that, right? They're like, oh, we don't have. First, they're not even getting back to me, right? So now I'm hitting up a very specific, like, whatever, it doesn't matter. They're not getting back to me, right? So I start hitting them every single day with the same complaint. Finally, someone calls me back, and they're like, hey, first of all, they leave a message, right? They call in. I'm getting the messages at like 4 o'clock in the morning because they probably call in as soon as they get in. They don't know they on East Coast time and I'm on West Coast time. So I'm waking up, right, at like 4 o'clock in the morning and seeing like, oh, okay, I got a voicemail, right? They left the first voicemail. They're like, yeah, we keep trying to call you. I had to go back to my call log. Oh, I don't have no missed calls. That's wild. That's crazy. Because you said you keep trying to call me. My phone definitely be on silent all the time, but it don't be off. It be on silent, but it don't be off. So I called back and I was like, hey, I was like, 2 things. One, I'm calling about a missing item. And they were like, yeah, you keep calling. You've sent us multiple. I said, yeah, I've sent you multiple things because you weren't getting back to me. And I said, and I heard on your voicemail that you said that you've tried multiple times. However, I just looked at my call log. I don't have a missed call from you nor a voice message before that. So there's no proof that you've been trying multiple times to get in contact with me. And they were like, well, ma'am, we don't, what the item that you're saying that you lost, we don't have that item. I said, that's crazy because I can see the item. The item has a tracking device. I can see the item. Oh, you can see the item? Yeah, I can see the item right at your location. Oh, okay. Well, to describe the item to me again, that's crazy because I just described it to you and you told me y'all didn't have that item. That's crazy. It's crazy. But okay, here's the description. And where is it exactly? Well, let me zoom in. Let me zoom in on my device and see exactly where it is. You want me to tell you exactly whose hands it's into? So then they're like, okay, well, I'm not. Are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm telling you, it's right. I see it. And I said, and because this is what you got to do. I realize it sucks. It's so unreasonable. It's so disheartening for me, you guys. I have to be really honest. Whatever. I took screenshots every single day of the item. Like it's like, oh, last seen. You get what I'm saying? Oh, item is at this place at this time. I took screenshots. Just to show, like, yeah, it's been here for multiple days and you not doing it. You keep saying y'all not getting back to me and you keep saying you. And I know y'all like, damn, what was the item? It was replaceable, but replaceable and a headache, but that's okay. I don't mind. But it's a safety issue. That's the information I'll give you. It was a safety issue for that item to be out in the world. Anywho, so they was like, oh, okay, well, I'm not on site. Like I am technically in Indianapolis at the airport, but I'm not on the actual site. So just give me a couple of hours. I'm going to go and actually get it. And I was like, okay, cool. They was like, but it's going to take a couple of hours. I said, yeah, that's no problem. Take all the time you need. So I'll expect a call from you in what? 3, 4, 5, 6? How many hours do you need? And they was like, oh, about 3 hours. I'm like, cool. They called me back in 3 hours and like, we do have your item. And I was like, cool. What do I need to do to get it back? And they was like, you just got to provide us with a shipping label. And then I watched my item. I hit them with hit the email and was like, hey, here's the shipping label. Please confirm that you've received it. And then they was like, yep, your item is on your way to you. Blah, 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 blah. I say all that to say, I said on the podcast last week, anybody in Indianapolis, and so many of you guys offered to help me. There was even a lovely couple that was like, we got to go to the airport. We are on our way to our anniversary trip and we could either pick it up for you on our way out or on our way back. You let us know what you need. It's nothing. And I was like, oh my God, this is so nice. This is so nice of everyone. Like, I felt that same part of me to be like a little bit disheartened when I experienced like blatant not giving a, you know what I'm saying? Blatant like dishonesty, blatant like disregard for like the fellow human being, like that part of me that can be disheartened sometimes, that part of me that's really hopeful and optimistic, that can sometimes has to just accept like a dose of reality. That part of me was reassured with the kindness and the concern that a lot of you guys showed me. So thank you. Then I started thinking, because I'm not a person, it's not really easy for me to like ask for things. Especially, it's not easy for me to ask the people that I love, the people that are closest to me, the people that I know will have no problem like taking care of me. It's hard for me to even put in requests to them. And so to put in requests to the public is super hard. And then I was like, dang, was that like unreasonable for me to even ask essentially like strangers? Like, I know y'all know me, but it's kind of like one way, right? Because it's like I'm constantly talking to you guys and we go back and forth in the chats, but it's like we not video messaging, you know what I'm saying? It's not like, all right, I'll upload it. This ain't like, remember Marco Polo? Yo, me and Tabitha, that's how we used to communicate. We would have hundreds of Marco Polos. Just like video messages to each other, hundreds of Marco Polo. And then one day she was like, girl, I sent you a Marco Polo. You have not responded. Like, are you? And I was like, oh, girl, we could FaceTime. This is like, I think this is like right before, you know what? You know what it might have been? It might have been before Tabitha had an iPhone. Because why wasn't we FaceTiming? That had to be it. That had to be my way of communicating, like video message communicating with the people in my life that didn't have iPhones at the time. Whatever. Anywho, then I just kind of thought, like, I know a lot of like public facing people put kind of like requests out there to like their community of people. I don't really want to say fans, but just like community of people. And sometimes that can be used for like really good, right? Sometimes it can be used for bad. Like, I mean, that's basically what former President Donald Trump is being accused of, right? Like him kind of asking and telling his community of people, do something. They stole the election, do something. And so I don't know. You guys, what do you think? Do you think that it is an unreasonable thing for a public-facing person to kind of like, I don't know, every so often ask their fans or their community of people to do something that's outside of like, hey, come see this show. Hey, come support this. Oh, hey, da-da-da-da. Hey, get my merch. Like that sort of expected exchange. Anyway, let me know. It ain't that serious, but let me know. I got a super, I don't know, I shouldn't say super funny because y'all might be like, I love in the comments that they be like, I'm still waiting for it to be funny. Unreasonable. I had a story about me putting a request to like my community of people in Atlanta. I don't have time to tell it today. It's a funny story though. If y'all want to hear it, put it in the comments. Y'all want to hear my Atlanta story, and then I'll tell y'all the Atlanta story next week. All right. Main topics. Sitcoms versus single camera comedies. Okay, so in its most simplest form, it's really the way it's shot. Just so you guys know, sitcom means situational comedy. It means you put a cast of characters, the same characters, in different situations, and comedy ensues, right? It's these cast of characters. They're in the same set, essentially, and you change the situations. That's the only thing that changes. Think of the Martin show, right? We had Martin, Gina, Pam, Tommy, Cole. Same characters. We had a couple of other characters that came and went, right? But those same characters. The story always revolved around those same characters. And where were they always at? Martin's living room, right? And then we changed the situation. Oh, somebody stole his whatever. He told the wrong story on the radio. They got a boxing match. He having a boxing. You change the situation and comedy ensues. That's what a sitcom is. I heard somebody a couple of years ago say, oh, I thought a sitcom was just meant that you sit down and watch comedy. Because essentially that is what you're doing, right? The whole family would get around the TV, sit down and watch a comedy. It makes perfect sense, but that's not what it means. It means situational comedy. Now, single camera comedy is kind of self-explanatory, right? It's not that you don't have those same characters and you put them in different situations. That is still true for a single camera comedy. However, it's the way that they're shot that is very different. So in situational comedies and sitcom comedies, think about it like live theater. That set is typically in front of a studio audience. That's why in most of your favorite comedies that you've watched in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, you hear a laugh track, right? When a joke is made, even if you don't laugh at home, you hear the studio audience laughing. Remember a lot of shows that we watched, it used to be like this show was taped in front of a live audience. That's how you could think about sitcoms. It is, and sitcoms typically are on network television, the Fox, the NBC, the CBS's, the ABCs, right? Streaming and cable started doing a lot of single camera comedy. Okay, so sitcoms are shot multicam. That's what it's called. It's a multicam sitcom, meaning when they were on the set of Martin, right? When they were on the set of Martin, they'll be acting and there'll be 3 or 4 different cameras filming at the same time. So they don't got to do those scenes a whole bunch of times because they got 4 different angles getting the scene. They don't got to shoot Martin first and then shoot Gina's line and then turn around and shoot Tommy's coverage. They don't got to do that, right? Because they got multiple cameras. See, multicam. They got multiple cameras set up to catch everything at one time. Single camera comedy. Remember I said multicam? Single camera comedy. You got the same cast of characters. You put them in different situations, but there's some major differences. One, single camera comedies are mostly shot like films. They out in the world. They not on the same set, right? Think about Atlanta. Think about the FX comedy starring Michael Glover and all those other great guys, right? Michael Glover. What? Donald Glover. I would have listened to that back when I was editing and been pissed. And then all of y'all would have been in the comments like, Michael Glover? Well, Donald Glover. They out in the world, right? They in Atlanta. They outside. They using real locations. You remember like Martin when they go to a store or a bank? They ain't shooting at a real bank. That's just a set, right, of a bank. A single camera comedy, they going to a real bank. Typically, they go into a real store. They go into a real location. They're filming it like a film, and it's a single camera. Maybe it's like 2 cameras, but so it takes much longer. So we're filming upload. It would be so much quicker to film upload if we had 5 cameras going at once. But what has to happen is they got to get my coverage. They're gonna get the wide. Then they're gonna come in closer. They're going to get the 2 shot, right? They're going to take 1 camera and they're going to get 2 people in the shot. They're going to get both characters in the scene. Then they're going to stop and then they're going to set up another camera and then they just going to get my close-ups. And then whoever I'm talking to, then they're going to get his or her close or they close-ups, right? This takes a very, very long time. This takes a much longer time than a sitcom takes. Also, the scripts look different. If you look at a multicam script, there's double spacing. There's a certain rhythm to it. You know, when you watch a sitcom, it's like, joke, 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 right? It's a rhythm to it. Single camera is a bit more, the rhythm can be whatever the POV, it can be whatever you want it to be. There's just much more, to be very honest with you guys, in single camera comedies, there's usually much more freedom and diversity in everything. The cast of characters, the places, the stories being told, the way you can tell the story. You know what I'm saying? It's just way more diversity, which is why as a creative, I lean more when I am trying to create something. I'm always writing in a single camera voice, not a multicam voice. Multicam is like broad, right? Everybody gets these jokes. This is for everybody. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, some of my favorite shows are multicam shows. The Golden Girls, Living Singles. I never watch Friends, but I hear it's the same. This is a good example, actually. So, Golden Girls, Living Single, and Friends. Those are all sitcoms. Think about them. They got characters. They essentially, when you think about it, it's all the same characters too. You know, generationally and then cross-culturally, it's all the same characters. Living Single, they use the same types that Golden Girls use. And then Friends was like, you know what, we're going to just take everything that you did, the men included, and we just going to make them all white and take all your stories. And, oh, y'all was in Brooklyn at a brownstone? Okay, we going to put them in an apartment in Manhattan, and they going to have umbrellas around Central Park. Whatever. But think about it, right? Most episodes took place in the living room, right? That one living room. It's these same people. The story involves all of them all the time. And the situations just changed, right? Now, you see how I gave you 3 shows that are led by an ensemble cast of women? That's the sitcom version. Now, I'm going to give you the single cam comedy version. Girls on HBO and Insecure on HBO. Essentially the same shows. White girlfriends, white millennial girlfriends in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, black millennial girlfriends in Inglewood, California, right? But you see how, think about them, they're out in the world. There's comedy, but there's also room for a little bit of drama. It feels very real. It feels very real life. That is the difference between sitcom and single camera comedy. I hope that helps. And I hope that cleared things up. Oh, and single camera comedy, there's no double spacing. So like, for the same half-hour episode, a sitcom script might be like 40, 50 pages. Although it comes down to maybe like 20-something minutes, it's just that it's double spacing. Where a single camera, it's like, if the script is 30 pages, that's 30 minutes. It's just like a film. It is shot and produced and all that, essentially like a film would be. Did I miss anything? I think that's it. I hope that helped. Okay, Janet Jackson. So, Janet Jackson sat down with The Guardian, and they interviewed her. I'm not sure for what they interviewed her for, but Janet Jackson is a national treasure, a living icon, right? So I don't need to know why. I'm saying I don't know what the interview was for. I'm not saying it like facetiously, like, and she ain't got nothing to say. Like, well, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I specifically, like, literally don't know. Like, is she dropping an album? Is she about to go into it? Like, I don't know. Is she having another baby? Like, I don't know. But when she sat down with the interviewer from The Guardian, she was asked her position on the upcoming election. And the interviewer said, and I'm quoting this, America could be on the verge of voting in its first black female president. That's what the interviewer said. And Janet Jackson's response was, well, you know what they supposedly said. And she she asked, you know what they supposedly said, which is so much ambiguity just in that statement alone. You know what they, because it's like, who is they? Supposedly, it's like, well, did they say it or didn't they? And then it's a question mark at the end. Like all of it, it's almost like a sentence that ain't even really a sentence. You know what I'm saying? Well, you know what they supposedly said. She's not black. That's what I heard. She's Indian. This was Janet Jackson's response, which is actually fine, in my opinion. Okay, so it's fine because she said, it's fine if that's like a literal correction, right? Like, there's some people, I know a lot of biracial people, and I've had to come around on making the space for them to be biracial, making the space for them to honor both sides of themselves, making the space for them to not have to choose and not be uncomfortable when they are in one space versus the other, right? So for a very long time, I've heard conversations, I've been a part of conversations where you're speaking about somebody biracial in whatever way that whatever two racial identities they have, and you like, oh, but they more white, or they more black, or they more, they more Spanish, they more, even like my own nieces and nephews who are biracial. Maybe like 2 years ago, asked my brother if he was okay, if he was okay with me having two of my nieces for a week with me, because they're growing up, and with their mother, they have had a very culturally Japanese experience. But when you look at them, these are girls of color, like they clearly look racially ambiguous, like they clearly look mixed, but still they are women, they are young girls of color. And I felt like it was important for them to be around a woman of color. I love their mom, and I love that my nieces are fluent in Japanese. I love all of that. But I also felt like it was important for them to have this part as well, right? And honor both. Like, if my nieces is talking Japanese in front of me, I'm not about to be like, Now I got to go and find out what they talking about. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, anywho. So I think that Janet Jackson's statement, well, you know what they supposedly said. They saying that she not black, she Indian. I think that's totally fine if she was like almost trying to put the interviewer up on game, like, so maybe you shouldn't say the first black president. Maybe you should honor her Indian part too. Maybe you should say it's possible that America might vote in the first, black Indian woman president. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, if that's what she's saying, then I continue to read the interview, and that is not what Janet Jackson was saying, unfortunately. So the interviewer, when Janet Jackson said that, the interviewer responded that Kamala is both. The interviewer said, well, yeah, Kamala is both black and she is Indian. And Janet incorrectly said her father's white. I don't know where she got that from. But whatever. She said her father's white. And that's what I was told. And then she said, that's what I was told. I mean, I haven't watched the news in a few days. I was told that they discovered her father was white. I ain't about to be like, Janet, you crazy. I am going to be like, Janet, who are you talking to? Who's in Janet Jackson's bubble? And here's the thing. People could say, like, you can make the argument, like, well, I mean, a lot of people don't know a lot about Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is the first female vice president of the United States of America. forget her presidency. Forget if she'll ever be president. Forget the presidency. She has been the vice president, the first female, the first black, the first Indian, whatever you want to call it. She the first in the VP position. So Janet, where have you? What's your song? Her song is "What Have You Done For Me Lately?" Is that Janet Jackson? Where have you been lately? Because Madam Vice President has been the vice president for three plus years, girl. So who you talking to? They just discovered? Who is out here doing the research? Who got the misinformation on the Wikipedia page? They just the same people who supposedly said that her father was white. But okay, so what? So what you trying to say? She white and Indian? Like what? I was just trying to figure out what Janet Jackson was trying to say. She should have said, and we'll see when we get there. Or I prefer not to talk about politics. Or what she should have did was look back. Remember how everybody was trying to give Tyler a hard time? Is her name Tyler or Twyla? What's the girl? What's the little South African girl's name? Everybody was trying to give her a hard time. In her Breakfast Club interview, when Charlamagne asked her something about being black or something like that, and she turned and looked like, she looked at her, whoever was there with her, her PR person. You ain't about to hold nothing against me. You ain't about to hold, I don't know. I don't know what's the right answer. I don't know what's the right answer. And I don't know, since I don't know what the right answer is, I don't even really know how I feel, I can't stand on nothing. So let me look at whoever else is in the room that's supposed to protect me from situations like this. Well, you know, they just said that they had discovered that her father is white. The interviewer repeats that Kamala is biracial. She is of two heritages, right? The interviewer then, she moves on. And she asked Janet, if she thinks America is prepared to see Kamala Harris. Forget what her ethnic makeup is. Do you think America is prepared to see her in office? And Janet's response was, I don't know. And then she started whispering, and this is what the interviewer is writing out, right? She's because we're not there. This is not a visual interview nor audio interview. This is like an interview that takes place, and then they type it out, right? And so she is being descriptive on purpose. So she says, Janet starts whispering, honestly, I don't want to answer that because I really, truthfully don't know. I think either way it goes, it's going to be mayhem. That should have been the first answer. Honestly, I don't know. I prefer not to answer something like that. But I think sometimes you could leave it there. I was actually listening to, I know I said we wasn't going to talk about Diddy, right? But I was listening to Dame Dash because I guess a picture of him, Aaliyah, Jay-Z, and Diddy or something like that is recirculating now. And he was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what happened. I don't know nothing about that, but I knew I needed to distance myself. Okay, so wait, do you know or do you not know? It's the same as like when Donald Trump be like, I never read Project 2025. I don't agree with it. I'm sure it has some good stuff. It has bad stuff. Oh, wait. Did you read it or do you, like, you either know or you don't know. You know how many times I have been in, not a bunch of times, but I have been in discourse with either a love interest or a friend or even a sibling. And you like, wait, are you smart or are you dumb? Because you're trying to pass this thing off like you didn't know. But now you talking like you know. So help me. I want to know what I should believe. Are you stupid or are you smart? Do you know or don't you know? Because it's not both. It's not both. You either know or you don't. Now, if you don't know, you can find out. If you think you know, and you can be corrected, but you either know, you know what I'm saying? It ain't, you can't be like, oh, I don't know, I know. I know, I don't know. No. They completely negate one another. The internet is in a frenzy. They like, damn, Janet, why would you say that? Why did you have to say that? Why did you even have to, where's your information? How are you? There's like two things happening, right? There is this judgment on Janet Jackson, the icon, and the rich celebrity being so uninformed. And then there's this other judgment on like, but hold on a second, why do you even care? What does it matter? What does it matter? And so then good old D.L. Hugle entered the chat. D.L. Hugle entered the chat and said, let's see what D.L. said. I just want to read it verbatim. I don't want to misquote him. D.L. tweeted on X. He said, Janet Jackson's interview sounded like a Trump rally. FYI, it's a little ironic to question whether someone is black while you're breathing through the nose of a white woman. I know it was probably white women like, now what? You know when you catch a stray? Now hold on. We was just over here baking muffins. How did we get in it? And it made me think. I can respect that DL is a comedian. I do try to respond to things in a humorous way because I do know that my career path, my job, is that of a comedian, to be funny, to make things funny. I actually posted like a clip from last week's episode about salacious details of Diddy's indictment versus like the criminality of it all. And somebody commented and was like, yo, you know how to like break such serious things down and still make them funny. And I responded, I never really thought about it, but I responded and I was like, yeah, I know how to make things, or I try my best to make things funny without making it unserious. Like, yeah, it might be funny when I'm like, it's the freak off. Freak off. You know what I'm saying? Whatever I be doing. But in no way do I ever want you to leave believing that the message is like, this is not to be taken seriously. No, this serious AF. You know what I'm saying? So I do get that I do get that that's the punchline. You know what I'm saying? Question whether someone, like, you think it's just like regular sentences, right? That's crazy. This sound like Janet Jackson sounding like, Trump. Trump is always, Trump, that's the only thing he got is questioning. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly what Trump and JD be saying, right? Like, oh, is she black now? Oh, because last I heard she's been Indian, and now she's, you know what I'm saying? That's all they got. I don't know. Okay, I don't care, but now she's black. Like, that's all they got, right? And so he's saying, oh, this is the same. Maybe that is Janet Jackson's day. Maybe her day is Trump and JD. That better not be her day. What if her days is really like a group of 4 gender non-binary people in a room? Like, girl, why you listening to us? Sorry. Okay. His sentence seemed like it's going regular, right? And then he dropped the punchline. While you breathing through the nose of a white woman. I get that that's like the comedian in him. And it's always an easy kind of like, target to, it's always an easy like diss to go after somebody. And it's kind of hard to say a lot of bad stuff about Janet Jackson. I mean, like I said, she is a national treasure, an icon. You know what I'm saying? Older people be arguing me down. They be arguing me down over Janet Jackson, arguing me down because you know, the only Jackson for me was Michael. And maybe the mama. You know what I'm saying? But really the only Jackson for me is Michael. Although I've liked some of Janet's work, but really the only Michael for me personally, the only Janet for me, the only Jackson for me personally has been Michael. But older people in my life be arguing me down. What? How? Yeah. Oh, but you like Beyonce. Beyonce could never touch it. I'm like that's fine for you to feel that way. However, you're not gonna get a Rhythm Nation play out of me. You just not. And let me just tell you what. I saw a picture of Janet Jackson the other day, and I said, "Oh, she looks so." I love Janet Jackson in Poetic Justice as much as they said she done made Tupac go get an AIDS test or something like. You know what I'm saying? She like. I never watched Good Times, so I don't even know that Janet Jackson. Anywho, I know, my opinion aside, I know how the fans feel about Janet Jackson. And it is a fact she did go get a pretty comical nose. Call it what you want. Call it Eurocentric. Call it white woman. Call it what you want. It's comical. It ain't a nose. It ain't a nose that God gave anybody. And it don't go with your face. It ain't the right nose. So I ask you guys. I think a lot of people are like having a hard time with Janet, but then when DL came in, you know, like, it's like, well, hold on. It's like, we mad at Janet, but don't be coming for our Janet. So I guess my question for you guys this week is, why am I having a blank? Is it reasonable to diss a national treasure? Is it reasonable to diss a national treasure? You guys let me know in the comments what you think. Yeah. And, oh no, I don't have an Ask Z this week. I don't have an Ask Z. I'm so sorry, you guys. But you know what that means? That means you guys have to send them in. So go ahead and either send me some Ask Z's in my DMs, or you can, if you don't care about being anonymous, then you can put it in the comments. I haven't checked the comments today, so I don't know. I'm so sorry. Or you can always send an email directly to me at zainabcomedyvip@gmail.com. zainabcomedyvip@gmail.com, which means you guys are very important people as it relates to me and my career in comedy. So yeah, zainabcomedyvip@gmail.com. Put in your Ask Z's if y'all want to keep the segment going. That's it for me. Okay, you guys stay reasonable. I will talk to you guys next week. Bye.